Welcome to the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Chris Saunders. I'm pleased to have on with me from the Woodstock Academy baseball program. Coach Elliott's with me. And Coach, first and foremost, congratulations on winning the title for baseball. It was it was a lot of fun being able to see a program that had never been obviously to a championship. So you're 1 for 1 there. Made it a little bit interesting late. Got a little bit in the sixth inning. Kind of thought, does Ram have a shot to make it? And they did. They fought the good fight. They got 2 runs late, but you guys held them off for the rest of that half inning. I think you left a couple guys on base, or they
Yep.
did. And obviously the seventh inning, I'm pretty sure it 1, 2, 3, if I recall, and you guys won the title. Coach, how you feeling right now?
Oh, I mean, feeling great. I mean, you said, I mean, it wouldn't be Woodstock baseball without, a little, a little anxiety at some point during the game. But no, and that's what we tell the kids too. Like that's high school baseball. Like we make mistakes, the other team makes mistakes. It really comes down to free 90s. Our coaching staff has done a great job of that all year, emphasizing, if we don't walk guys and if we make plays behind them, we're going
Mm.
to be okay. But there's always one inning, it seems, where that doesn't quite. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If high school baseball was 6 innings instead of seven, there'd be. It might be a completely different story, just because it seems there's always one inning out of the seven that really really troubles teams, whether it's us or whoever we're playing. But no, feeling really good. I mean, couldn't be more excited for the players. And I was talking to you a little bit before the game and how it was our graduation as well that day. So just like that story for the seniors of being able to graduate in the morning and win a state championship, first time in school history for baseball, like that's something they'll hold on to, and they deserve to hold on to that for forever. So I'm just couldn't be more proud of them and more happy for them, and just excited to kind of put Woodstock on the map a little bit with baseball.
No, I don't know if anybody, pardon me, I don't know if anybody noticed this, and maybe because I'm just thinking of it right now. each each class, as far as the winning pitcher, won a championship. And what I mean by that is you had Amity and Double L. It was a freshman pitcher. It was Coventry and S, a sophomore pitcher. Woodland and M. It was a senior pitcher who'd been committed to Bryant since he was a freshman. And then obviously you guys in L, it was a junior. So
Sure.
every single class had their representation. And I thought, looking at it just from your perspective, right? What I saw from your left-hander and being able to talk to him on these Zoom interviews is one thing. Seeing the way he pitched, and I thought early on he liked the heater. The heater was working. He didn't need to throw his off-speed pitches too much, but when he did, he threw them for strikes. And I felt like the way that Erickson was able to, and I know he ran into some trouble middle part of the game. He had some walks early. I know towards the end of his outing, I could tell he was starting to get a little bit gassed. But the one thing that impressed me is when he had to dial up his fastball or he had to locate a breaking ball, he was able to do that. And that was, I thought, one of the most impressive spots during his outing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of been him since his freshman year. What's made him so good and what's made him a starter for us really since his freshman year on the mound has been his ability to command two pitches. Right. I think I was watching the highlights after, and I think it might have been you actually mentioned, oh, his first breaking ball of the night goes in for strike three, right? So when you're throwing fastball, 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 and then all of a sudden, you throw in a breaker that he's pretty darn consistent at getting over, whether it's a called strike or he can throw it down the dirt with two strikes and that sort of thing. Like he's been pretty good with that. Really going back to his freshman year, and you mentioned the walks a little bit, and part of that too. I really do think has been the 3 days rest. Like him throwing on 3 days rest, and you're talking about the class representation. We would have loved to have our senior on the mound that day, but he was a little banged up and couldn't quite go. But no, absolutely. I mean that's just a gutty, gritty performance out of him, and he's really grown. Not as a baseball player or a human, you've seen him. He's grown. He's done enough growing as a person, but as a player and on the field, and as a leader too.
Mhm.
He did so much growing throughout the year, and he was our emotional energy leader throughout the tournament once Eric Matheson got hurt. So couldn't be more proud of him coming back. Asking for the ball, and I remember telling him, "Hey, 3 innings is good. 4 innings is great." And he gave us 5 2/3. And if Matty Hernandez, our right fielder, didn't lose a ball in the lights, and I think he goes 6 full, and that's an unbelievable performance on short rest. against a really, really good Ram team also. I mean, we watched him hit the ball all over the yard against another really good Daniel Hand team
Mhm.
in the game before ours at the semifinals at Dunkin' Donuts Park. So, just so proud of him, and he's got a lot more baseball in his future. I know that for sure.
What's funny too is that going into the game, I knew who was pitching for you guys because you had told me, and I kept it. Obviously, nobody needs to know until the
Appreciate that.
broadcast. Um, but it's funny because I wasn't even thinking about him as a hitter because my first thought is the pitching aspect. And then obviously I knew in the lineup he's there, but when I think of Erickson, I think of the pitching side, right? So when I saw him when obviously coming up to bat, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, obviously he deals on the mound. But then when I saw how easy his power was, obviously that home run, which is probably still going, it went well over 420 in right field. It probably went closer to 440 if not farther. And then
Yep.
his, I think, second or third at bat, he had popped up to right center, but it almost could have been a home run as well if the wind wasn't
I think it
blowing.
was warning track. If it was pretty darn close, if not
Yeah,
on it, right?
it was on the
Yeah.
warning track. I had made a comment, maybe a couple more bench presses or some push-ups,
Yeah.
for the young man. But in all seriousness, the way that the fluidity of his swing is and how easy that power is. I don't know if you remember this name. There's a young man who used to play for Weathersfield. He went to Central for a little bit, or no, he went to Virginia, and then I think he went to Central after. Jimmy Sullivan, I think was his name. He was an
Yeah,
outfielder.
that rings a bell. Yep.
Yeah, he was a tall, kind of like Erickson,
Sure.
big and tall. You look at him and you think, okay, they're tall, but are they strong? Because they look wiry, but they're both very strong. I felt like their swings are pretty unique as far as how easy the power is to be able to just swing it like 50%, and you're hitting the ball farther and harder than guys who swing it 100%.
Oh,
Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
Yeah, and it's funny too because he struggled the first half of the year, especially at the plate. We go into the year, we were looking at him as obviously middle of the order bat. I mean, I think he hit third for I think he ended up hitting third for us last year
Mm.
as a sophomore, and quite frankly, talking to coaches and other people, like people viewing him more as a hitter than a pitcher. And I know you know what he's done on the mound, obviously, speaks for itself. But he was kind of getting pitched a different way, saw a lot more breakers, guys nibbling kind of around him, not really giving him too much to hit. And I remember talking about one point and just like, hey, any ball close, just swing hard. Just go get not out of your shoes, not falling over, but you're a really good hitter and you can cover the plate and then some, right? Like with your height, with your length. And that I think triggered something in him that, oh, I can do this. And he's someone who he does it once, he'll do it again and again and again. He just has to remind himself, oh, I can do this. I can play this sport.
Mhm.
And actually the Saturday before he hit 2 home runs at our home field in the quarterfinals against Guilford. First two of the year. So again, speaks to his nature as a big game player and that sort of thing. But our field is no joke. I mean, they play soccer in the outfield in the fall, so it is. He hit one ball down the line that was 350, 360, and the second one was halfway up the trees down the line. Like it's one of those balls like, oh, this field's just not big enough to hold it, and our field's big enough to hold pretty much any ball you can hit, at any ball that any mortal can hit. So he was really finding his swing at the right time. And, I think that gave him confidence on the mound too. Knowing, okay, we got a lead. Everything's going kind of the way we want it to go. The game's kind of the trajectory of the game's kind of going how we want it to. And I think it filled him with confidence, obviously on the mound as well.
No, I think it was, I want to say the fourth inning is when some bullpen action started to happen. I think it was about that time. Maybe I'm off by about an inning or so. And I remember making a comment to my partner where I was like, I don't know if they're going to the bullpen this early because obviously Erickson looked very, very good. Again, did not know the fact of how he felt and, who knows, you want to make sure you protect the arm and all that and
Yeah,
the body as well because he's heading to UConn in just a couple
right.
falls. Was that by design to have multiple guys in the bullpen throwing, trying because I felt like you were playing mind games, trying to give Ram like, hey, we may take him out, we may not, we may. We've got three guys warming up. There were two different numbers I saw throwing in the bullpen.
Yep.
Was that by design? Because I felt like that was like a football thing, trying to mess it up, trying to
Oh,
almost like in football, where if you're calling a play like they do in college football, you're
sure.
throwing up signs and all this other stuff, and you got three different quarterbacks doing all this kind of stuff. just to try to confuse. Were you doing something like that?
No, Chris, I'll be honest with you. I coach football. I don't have enough time to think of doing that during football. Definitely not enough time to think of doing that during a state championship baseball game. It was really, and I think I mentioned earlier, it was really, hey, you give us 3 innings, awesome. Four would be outstanding. You give us 4 innings, I love our chances to win a state championship. Just knowing the depth we have behind them, like our relief guys. So it was really just making sure I'd much rather be early and have a couple guys that end up hanging out in the bullpen for a few innings than
Mhm.
be too late and saying, "Oh, run down there, make sure your bands are done, make sure you're warmed up in 2.5 minutes, and then bring someone in who's not fully prepared for the moment, for the stage, and all that." So um, that's really all it was behind it. And I know mentioned the no hitter a little bit. We weren't even worried about that, and quite frankly, Brady said the same thing. He goes, "I didn't even know I had a no hitter until after the game when someone asked me about it." Um, because I think we were so focused on what our goal was and what we were trying to accomplish that day. And individual accolades are great, but I was just trying to do what was best for the team. And that at that moment, it was have an arm ready just in case. Because Brady's a guy who gets a lot of swing misses at balls. Just because I think he's such a unique guy. East Lyme had really good swings against him the second time they saw him. They saw him during the regular season and then the semifinals, and they had a good game plan for him. But if you're a team seeing him for the first time, 6'7" from the left side, he's pretty over the top for a left-hander as well. He's not really dropping down to three-quarter.
Mhm.
Um, it's a tough at bat, and their at bats looked uncomfortable. So my thought was, as the game progressed, as long as he's throwing strikes, we're gonna ride him. And quite frankly, I think, like I said, if we catch a ball in the sixth inning, which again that happens, that's part of high school baseball, especially in that environment where you're not used to it. We didn't play. That was I think it was our second night game, and our first one was the semifinals. So but we were gonna ride him as long as we could, but we were just having just in case we needed, someone out of the pen, but we had them ready too.
I thought it was impressive too that, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but the fact that he kind of waited as far as Erickson is concerned to throw his breaking stuff a lot. Like he waited until he was about basically a turn and a half through the
Sure.
lineup because I mean, let's be fair, and I think Ram would agree. They couldn't catch up to the heater. They did not have comfortable swings.
Yep.
Some of the best swings that they took against him were foul balls, and that says a whole lot, right? I mean, the breaking balls, I think it's more impressive for a young man like him. And like, because again, I saw a lot of pitching during the tournament. I saw some great breaking balls. I saw some not very good breaking balls, but again, more often than not, I saw some very good pitching. And I
Yep.
felt like the fact that he was able to, when he needed to go to that pitch and not have to throw it consistently to get a feel, he just automatically had a feel for it and could go to it like he did early on in the first inning, where he was able to get the strike three of the third batter on a breaking ball after throwing 15 or so, whatever it was, number, just straight heaters, saying, all right, see if you can hit it. And then he throws the slow stuff. I was impressed by that.
Right. And again, like I said, that's something that he's thrown it 3-2 for strikeouts. That might have been a 3-2 count then as well.
It
He's
was.
he's thrown it 3-2 with confidence all season. If he turns his breaker 3-2, it generally turns out in a strikeout, then a walk, or what the other
Mhm.
possibilities. Um, I would also say like his ability to like you said, command the zone with fastballs. And I mean, funny story with that is watching them watching Ram prior to that game, seeing him in the semifinals. They hit hand pretty well all over the park, and it wasn't gap shots and outfields with their back to the infield, running chasing after balls. It was taking the ball where it's pitched, hitting line drives the other way, and just moving guys along. And so talking to Brady and Tanner Graham, our catcher, who is also best friends with Brady, which helps. Like that's absolutely an asset for us, and it will be next year too. I was like, hey, don't be afraid to mix. Brady, like I told you, 3-4 innings would be amazing. Throw what you got. Throw it all. Throw it early. Throw it often. Whatever you need to do to get the job done. Um, and that was my coaching point, and they threw one curveball in the first inning. So again, it goes to show you like, hey, we have a great plan until the game actually starts, and then players play. And we don't call pitches. We let if we want something, oh, 0-2, let's elevate a fastball, that sort of thing. We'll do that, but well, no one in the dugout's calling pitches every single pitch, and especially when those two are rolling like they were on Saturday, because we have so much trust in them and they have so much trust and belief in each other. We almost get in the way doing that as coaches. So, just really, really proud of him. And again, Tanner Graham behind the plate, just grinded for us all year and did an exceptional job.
Has it hit you yet, coach? And I know there's been a lot going on as far as with graduations. There's been some stuff going on with the school, obviously wrapping up the school year.
Sure.
And also, too, I mean, you got to be able to enjoy yourself and have a summer. I mean, between football and baseball and everything else, it's like, I know you kind of have the in between thing, but again, you're trying to get everything prepared for the upcoming seasons. And I know there's also the out of season, which I know some people started this past week, some are starting
Right.
the coming week. And I know that's going to be a big factor as well. And for people who may not know, the out of the off season, so the out of the playing season, whatever it's called, you can have, as long as a coach is there. If I'm corrected, you can have,
Sounds right. I believe
yeah,
so.
you can have 2 hours for 2 days
Yep.
for total for a week period. So I think that is something to be able to kind of watch for. But have you been able to enjoy it at all, man? Have you been able to?
Oh, I enjoy just seeing the kids celebrate and just being happy for them. Like that's, it's funny because I remember looking at, like, as a player, my senior year playing for East Lyme, we lost in the semifinals at Palmer Field. Only other time I've been there for a game, participating in a game, I guess I should say. And man, it felt really hard. Not that this wasn't hard, but it was like, okay, if we do what we're supposed to do as a team,
Hmm.
we really like our chances. And then that first and foremost starts with pitching and defense, right? If we throw strikes, if we make the other team swing, if we play good defense behind them, and then we're going to grind at the plate. I got to give so much credit to our assistant coaches. Troy Stefanski, who's another East Line, or sorry, not East Line, but ECC guy. He played at Wheeler.
Yep.
Yeah, I played with him in AAU growing up. We're the same age, and he ended up walking on to UConn and being a 3 year starter there. And he basically stole Coach Penders' approach at UConn and kind of translated that to our team throughout the year. And I think that made us such better hitters. And I feel like it showed throughout the tournament, throughout the end of the regular season. And Coach Max Grossman as well as our pitching coach, and he was wrapping up his undergrad at UConn during the season, and then still commuting up from Mystic. He played at Fitch. So we had a full ECC coaching staff, and they did such an outstanding job that it really made my job easy in terms of like, hey, here's one thing for the lineup today. They agree, and then it was that sort of thing that just really lucky, and that's kind of what I've been thinking about most since we won is like how fortunate, if we're talking personally, how fortunate I am as a coach to have those guys, and then to have the players that we had players come up and say a lot of times it's a tough time of year, right? Because you're moving into other things, whether it's summer ball or the school year's ending, you have vacations and this and that. And to keep focus in spring sports season, I feel like it's tougher than other seasons. We had guys come up saying, "I've never had this much fun with high school baseball before. This time last year, I was looking forward to this team or this tournament coming up or whatever it might be." And the kids are just so locked in. So that's really what I've been thinking of the last since we won is how appreciative I am of the coaches and the sacrifices they made, but also just the players and their buy-in, and the peripherally as well. Like my mother, my grandparents were coming to each and every game. My girlfriend was driving 2 hours to come to games. It's just it was such a community thing, and it's a community victory. So it's not me. It's nothing I can appreciate more than anyone else. It's for the whole area, the whole community. I'm just so blessed to be a part of it.
Well, I can tell you, your girlfriend, she sounds like a keeper. Drive 2 hours. Respect to that. Respect to that. But hey, coach, I appreciate you coming on. Always fun. First time being able to talk with you via an interview. I know we've emailed and obviously, seeing you on the field and having our short conversation like we did. I made sure real quick. I did tell the story about the manual labor. I had to make sure I got
Did
that
you? You
across.
got that in good.
And what's
Good.
funny is when I said that, because I had said it to the PA guy and the person and the young woman who was doing the scoreboard, and they were laughing and everything. I
Yeah.
told my partner, and he kind of was just like he had no response to it. He was just like in a daze, and I'm just like, all right, well, I guess either you don't get it or whatever. So I'm just going to keep going with the broadcast now. But I thought that was a really cool story, and I appreciate you telling me. Congratulations on the championship, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's good to connect with you, and we met in person at the game, and good to kind of touch base with you here. And I'm sure we'll be in communication again because I'd imagine you'll want Brady on again at some point because he'll do something else that's ridiculous that you've never seen on a baseball field before. So looking forward to that, and hopefully getting seeing you again during the season, hopefully during the postseason, right around this time next year.
Definitely. And you know what, too? Football guys. I don't think I've had a Woodstock Academy football player on, so we may have to kind of change that up a little bit.
Well, I got a couple for you, so we'll talk.
All right, definitely. Thank you very much. Now, wrap things up here on the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm enjoying finding them all. To the shoot, everybody. Be well.